This is the Starlight Express Alumni Podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Jaycee Collins and I am part of the Starlight Alumni. My Starlight journey began, back in 88, 89. I'd just finished doing a flop that was called Ziegfeld. I'd come out of 42nd Street, working in the West End in 42nd Street, and I plunged into this new fantastic show that it was supposed to be. And it flopped, basically. And the UK were going through a really bad economic recession at the time. And work was just, there was no work. So I saw in what we call the stage, an advert for it. And I had an agent, and my agent said, do not do it. Don't even go for the audition. And I was like, and then all my friends, my musical theatre friends said, please don't do it. It's the worst thing you can do for your body. You'll end your career. And I was desperate for work. I mean, not saying but that is why I went to the audition. I rocked up in a pair of blue and red roller skates. And as most of you know, skating was not my forte. Everything to do with musical theatre was, but not skating. And I auditioned and I got into London as a swing cover Ashley and Buffy. So I went through the rehearsal period, had a lot of crashes, had to go and see a Harley Street doctor over a 2-week period because the S-Bend, I don't know if you know about the S-Bend in London. Well, I was its victim many times, and one time I literally had a pizza right on the inside of my leg. So it was a trip to Harley Street every day to have it dressed. And the time in London was hard. It was really hard, but I was in London, so that's all I cared about. And then I left after a year, so I did my year, and I joined Rocky Horror Show, and I did that for almost a year, European tour of that. And a friend of mine, Frido Ruth, I think you know, and Hans
I remember
Gale.
Frido.
Well, I did London with Frido. And he said to me, I was just speaking to him on the phone, and he said, they're auditioning for Bochum. And I was like, I don't want to go and do it again. I can't put myself through it again. But again, there was no work. It was such a dry period. Mm-hmm. So I remember saying, okay, I went to Bochum. And I got to the airport and got on a train. There was no one to meet me for an audition. And I got on the train and I got off at the wrong stop because I didn't know that Bochum had loads of different, like Bochum Wassenscheid, Bochum and I needed to actually get off the train at the Hoppenhof. And I remember getting off at this station and just thinking, where on earth am I? I was just like in the middle of nowhere. Nobody spoke English at that time. It was just awful. So I remember just getting back on the train. I saw another sign that said Bochum on the train. I thought, just get on it. Found my way. Anyway, cut a long story short, which I am waffling, sorry. I auditioned. Dion was there. Hans Georg was there. Debbie was there. And I think Phil Edwards was there. And they had me sing for Pearl Diner. And because I'd done the show before, it was like, okay. I can't remember if I had my skates on or not. I probably did, but I remember being completely overwhelmed by the set, thinking, I couldn't skate London. How am I going to skate this? You know? I mean, by the time I left London, I could skate it just. But anyway, so yeah, I got the call to say I got the job. I would be starting in April because at that time, if you'd done the show before, you didn't come in for the skate school. You joined later,
right?
Which actually was a detriment to me because I could have really done with going to skate school and starting from the beginning with Michael Fraley. Because I remember arriving and we'd have to do warm up with the old cast. And Stuart Cross, his name is Ian Cross. I used to just hang on to his belt for dear life because I was frightened to go over the bowl on my own. I had this absolute fear of the set. And I was really lucky that all the people who, when I did go on stage, they kind of helped me along, which I guess until you get on stage, you don't know where it's going to go. But then I had a major accident, and I dislocated my first and my second vertebrae in my neck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was out of the show for like 6 months, and they said to me, in fact, it was the same injury that Glenn Neat had, and he didn't ever go back into the show. He became resident director, and they said to me that I wouldn't dance again. And I just, when somebody says that to me, you will not do something, it's like a red rag to a bull. And I was so determined to get back into the show. And I did, thanks to Michael Fraley. He taught me how to skate again. He gave me confidence, because I'd lost, when somebody tells you can't dance, it was horrendous. And being out of the show for 6 months, it was like a real upheaval. But he was fantastic. He taught me how to skate it. And then it became, I was watching Reva Rice's interview and Michael's, and at that stage, because Rochelle Rack was there, and she taught me the dance break, the Pearl dance break, and I was determined at that stage, right, I am going to do this, and I did it a few times. I'd get on stage and Mike would be like, you can do it, and I'd get to the Pearl dance break and I'd go, I can't, I'd bottle out of it. And then if it was a good day, it was just, if you felt right on your skates, then I would do it. But so yeah, that was my stylic journey. I did a year in London and then 3 years in Bochum.
What's interesting is that a couple of us alumni talk about, I know Michael Fraley mentioned it, I just remember him saying it, that if you don't mind me saying, that Starlight Express, those of us that have done the show, you have to have, in Spanish we call it cojones.
Yeah.
You have to have I think one of the girls, I think maybe even Reva said it, you have to have the balls to get on to do this show. And she wanted to really get on that German set. And but the experience, and you're not the first one that said that they were so afraid of that set. Or that set, or when they got there, I remember even Lothair, many of them, you guys, we all looked at that set. It was just freaked out. I remember we rehearsed in Hamburg before they were building the set.
Yeah, you had like a preset, like a building, didn't you, that you used?
Yeah,
hang up space, wasn't it?
Exactly. We were at the Hamburg studios, and then they had built this little ramp, like a half pipe kind of thing. And we were skating it, doing our best to come on. I actually broke my hand on it. And so I had surgery in Hamburg. But I remember when we finally went to Bochum, and we all went as a cast, went through the front entrance, right into audience comes through the middle. And it opened up, and I just remember seeing the whole place open up. And I felt this feeling I got swallowed up by the giant, and it was massive. And I think every single one of us had that. Well, most of us, I can't speak for everyone else, but I know I had this feeling that, oh my God, I still have my cast on, and I'm saying, how am I going to do that?
Sure. And did you feel, once you got onto the set, did you feel better, or did you still have that fear of, oh my God?
Well, I had that fear because I was still healing from my broken thumb, my surgery at the cast. Everyone was practicing it. Everyone was getting good. Renee was awesome on it. So we have this picture in our studio, the other room in our studio, of me, Renee and I coming down the profile, me grabbing onto her, holding onto her belt. My toe stopped digging into the profile to stop it. We're going into the bowl, and Renee is just going down and dragging me behind you, going down, because I was scared out of my wits.
That was me. That was me with Stuart Cross. He was such a sweetheart to me. And so was Freddie Mortini, actually, because I got to play Dinah and Pearl a lot behind him. And Michael, of course, Michael Rand. They were all just fantastic. But it felt so good when I did go back into the show and I learned how to skate it properly. I felt such an accomplishment, because I hadn't been able to do the job not as well as, I'm a perfectionist. Everything, if I'm going to do something, I have to do it well. And I did it, but I didn't do it to the best of my ability. But when I went back in, I really did, because I understood it. I understood the physics of it. It had never been explained to me. As a dancer, you think differently to somebody who's on a pair of skates, It was just, but Yeah, it's a crazy feeling, and the lights. I mean, do you remember when the bowl opened and you went through? Like, I remember going on for a component to begin with, and just that feeling of, oh my God, I physically can't do this. It just suddenly hits you because of the lights and the atmosphere on the stage. It's just something else, and you can't explain it to anybody unless they've been there.
Yeah.
Even London, it wasn't the same feeling.
Very interesting.
Because I don't know if it was the scale of it was much smaller, but it just didn't have that same. Oh, it was just so enormous.
Well, I know the London show, the challenges were very different. The London set was actually the guinea pig for all the many sets.
Sure, because it was the first opening of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so the stories that I've heard from some of your alumni that did that show there, with the gaps and the where you had to flip over, and the only way to really learn how to use that set by actually doing the show.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a guy, I don't know if you've heard about him, George Cannon, who was an amazing skater, and he was there from beginning to end. And he took me under his wing, and he would have me going around that S-bend again and again and again in between shows, just like, no, it's still not right. You're still not doing it right. And it was just like, oh, for crying out loud, please. But that was the gig, you know, you had to get it right. But I think Germany's a nicer set to skate because of the speed that you can get.
Yeah.
That was the other thing about London. You kind of get your speed up, and then you'd have to stop. Whereas at least in Germany, you just keep going, and it's that adrenaline pump. It's like, yeah, come on, let's go. And if you've got some competitive engines in front of you, it was like, okay, how fast are we going to go today?
Yeah, that's funny. I know Ray mentions a couple of exciting events that happen on stage, so that's you're gonna have fun hearing that. Now, what's your greatest memory? I mean, I know you've had several experiences. You did Starlight several times, but what's the memories that come to mind right away when I ask you, what's your greatest memory from the show?
I've watched some. I knew this question was kind of coming, and I've thought about it, which is kind of bad in a way, but it isn't. It isn't that Starlight, which everyone has said about, that feeling you've accomplished the show. Yes, that goes without saying. But my greatest moment has to be when I had to go on for race 3 as Pearl, and I literally had, I think, 5-10 minutes to get ready, and nobody on stage knew that it was going to be me. So I went into Masca. Martin put my wig on. I had foundation on. I had some lashes, a bit of blusher and pink lipstick. That is it. And a wig. And I remember just getting behind them, and they just, all their faces, if I could have taken a picture at that moment. And that has to be my greatest memory, especially as an understudy and as a swing, because you never knew when you were going to be on stage and what you were going to be on stage for. I mean, I remember people saying to me, oh, it takes a certain type of person to be a swing, and a good swing. And I used to think, oh, it's just a cop out. They're just giving me they're smoothing over the fact they don't want to give me first cast. But actually now, looking back, it's so true, because not everybody is versatile enough to do so many different things. And to be first cast, you only have to do that role 8 shows a week, and 7 if you were lucky, if you got a cover show. But as a swing, you know what it was like, and Renee certainly knows what it was like. We never knew from one minute to the next what we would be on for and how we would be thrown on for it, and that is my greatest memory, just seeing their faces of what the is happening here. And then of course I had to go off after the race and quickly do the rest of my makeup ready for Do a Line, so that I actually came back out with a face then, like, okay, she's here, she's arrived.
Funny. Now, what do you remember what year this was? I'm wondering, was I there? Because for some reason or another, I recall a show like that where it was just crazy, where somebody was thrown on. It was just a last minute thing, no makeup, no anything like that. And
I can't remember what year. Do you know what? I can't remember what I did yesterday, Pete.
Hello. Yeah, they all my memories become like this one big memory. But I remember being a swing. I had the engines, I had the components, and I had the Rockies. and I had a book. You know, your book, your
Oh yeah,
swing
yeah.
book.
Your
I had
folder.
a book
Yeah.
for each of them.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the first time I had to go on, I went on for an engine. I think it was the Russian train.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, I realized those books for me were a waste of time because where am I supposed to say? So that's where I learned that I had this memory that I can actually visualize the whole set where everyone was with respect to my character. And from
That's
that
amazing.
moment on, I never used this. I never did anything with swing books. And everything was here because I had a picture of where I was with respect. And so I was able to be thrown on, whether I was Rocky 1, 2, or 3, or back in the day when we had 4. And so, and so that's when that took my level of being understudy to a whole new level.
Absolutely.
And which actually hurt me because I wanted to be first cast. And I was more valuable as a swing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Every time I would ask, like when the contract talks came, it was like, can I be first cast? Well, we'll think about it, but probably the answer is probably no. But yeah, I remember my folder, and Renee will be the same. We had like color coded for freight of who to go through, and God forbid if you went through the wrong person and you knocked somebody. I mean, it was just like, whoa, guys, think about it. Think about what I'm having to go through here. But that was the job. That was the gig, you know, and it set you up for being able to do anything, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone. Now, I don't know. See if you agree with this. I'm sure you heard in the interviews. You've done many shows, and your experience, all your experiences with the work that you've done. I believe for me, because I've done Sesame Street in costumes with big costumes and skates. I've done stunt shows. I've done movies. I've done stage shows. I've done a whole bunch of West Side Stories, a whole bunch of shows. This Starlight, for me, was the most demanding show.
Oh my God!
Not only through the rehearsal process, but through the ongoing process of doing the show every single day.
Yeah. I mean, London was, in a way, was easier because I could go to Pilates class at Dance Works. So my strength and my stamina, I was always improving it. So it was on like an even level. But I think in Germany it was harder. I mean, they had gyms, but they weren't like they are nowadays. Do you know what I mean? So you'd be probably pumping up the wrong muscles, increasing strength in the wrong muscles. Where you know, now we're in the 21st century, but they know so much more, even down to diet. I mean, some of the food in the canteen, I remember stopping, no disrespect to the canteen, because I love the guys in the canteen, don't get me wrong. But I remember stopping eating in there because it felt too heavy, too stodgy. And that was back in like the early 90s when we didn't know as much as we do now. But in terms of physicality of how demanding it was, I've never done anything. I mean, Seven Brides was demanding because we were doing pas de deux work all the time. But no, there has never been another show like it. And I think for many reasons, it's special, not just from the physicality of it, from the mental side of it as well. It's just, it's so different. And you can't.
It's funny because the other shows that I've done, the tours that I've done national tours. You've done tours as well. That can get stressful because you're doing the bus and truck and traveling. But I think that the emotional stress and psychological stress that I experienced with Starlight, there were choices that I made in Starlight Express because I was stressed emotionally and psychologically because of the show and the demand of the show. That it was just demanding, and there were choices that I made that I would have normally not made.
Of course.
But I reflect back and say, oh my gosh, I have to say just the stress of that. Like, for example, being extremely sick or injured, but not calling in because you knew that the demand and responsibility of putting this show up, the show has to go on. If I knew somebody else wasn't able to do it or they weren't ready, I wouldn't call in. I would just, and so that was
going to bear it. Yeah,
and it was rough. And so, what were some of your experiences with just managing the stress of it?
Well, I mean, having watched other people's videos, that first 6-week period when you go into choreography and you're learning light and I mean, again, I'd done it for a year, so it wasn't dancing on my skates wasn't a problem, but I remember just thinking, I don't want to be here. I want to go home. And I remember a light rehearsal, and I'd only been there, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, and I got a phone call to say that my mum had got cancer and it was incurable. So I went straight into the office and I just said, I have to go home. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. And Regina, and so many people have said that they felt like giving up. And Regina Raab said to me, JC, go home, spend some time with your mum, come back, you'll feel differently. And if you don't want to come back, ring us. But we'll give you the option. We don't want to say, no, that's it. And so I did. And I did go. Obviously, I came back. But, yeah, there were some really challenging times there. I mean, I've mentioned my first and second vertebra. That was a challenge. But the physical, just having to kick out that 8th show when you were shattered, you'd probably done 3 or 4 different roles in a week. And Germany, it's different now. Bochum, I went back for the 25th and the 30th anniversary. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to both of those. And it's a different city, Peter. It's completely different. We were lucky if the Italian was still open when we finished the show. Do you know what I mean? I think there was the Chinese, the Greek, and the Italian, and you were really lucky if they were still open. If they knew we were coming, they would stay open. I mean, now there's just cafes everywhere and bars where you can sit out. It's a completely different world to the one we were in, and it was that language barrier. I mean, I know now that they make the cast take German lessons. I took them with Amanda Clark. And Stephen Rosso, funnily enough.
Funny.
He was a really bad student. He never did his homework, but Amanda and I were goody two-shoes. We always did our homework. But I think that is such an important lesson for them to learn, that how important it is to speak the language, because there are going to be times, like if you're in hospital or if you're injured and you're going to the doctor, where you probably found the same when you broke your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to converse with somebody. Nowadays, I would say the majority of Germans in Bochum speak English because Starlight's been there for so many years. But back then it was a new entity. They didn't know, and we were treated like royalty. That's another thing that I've never experienced, ever. The fans and their loyalty to you. It was just, I mean, I had one fan in particular, Nicole, I can't remember her second name, but the gifts that she would shower with me, it was just like, wow, all I do is get on stage and perform. I'm doing a job, but these fans, they're just amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting because now as I look back, and I put it up the other day, that, I was a performer, I'm an alumni. And when I was doing the show, we were so I was so in the show that I really was not able to step out of it and really see the impact it was having on the audiences and on the fans. But now hearing the stories, hearing you guys speak, sharing our experiences, and then the Papas and the Rusties talking about the Starlight sequence and the impact it was on them as far as what the meaning behind it. And I started now, I'm this point where I'm a fan of Starlight, and I'm a fan of those that do Starlight because of the story that's being told. And it's amazing. So the fans, and I had, because of this podcast, I've been able to speak to a couple of fans that are like the presidents of some of the fan clubs. And it's just amazing what they get out of the show. And it's no wonder now that why the show has gone for so long, and how it's touching every generation, because it's a simple story, but now it's just being told in a way. I mean, they take the story and just put it in a different context. I mean, or different, they wrap it differently, so it's relevant for the current generation. Yeah, and which is amazing.
Yeah, which is what they've done with the new show. I mean, at the new show, because it wasn't a familiar show to us, and like for my era, the 25th was it was still on the verge. We knew it. Do you know what I mean? There were tweaks and changes to it, but we still knew it. But the news show, I remember just sitting there thinking, I don't know this show. I have no idea. And I remember Meinhof saying to me at the party, "What did you think?" And I just said, "It's never going to be the show I did." And that's the show that's in my heart. And all I could say to him was, if it puts bums on seats for the next 30 years, Meinhof, you've done a fantastic job. And I hope that they have achieved that. And like you say, they've kept it up with current times. It's, you know, the woman playing a male part, the male playing a female part. That is today's society, and it has kept it's kept up with it. But obviously, in my heart, it's the show that I did. Right. I can't lose that, because. Yeah. And it'll be the same for the kids who are in it now, you know, if they go back in 10, 20 years' time. But the funny thing was, I just have to tell you this, because it didn't hit me so much at the 25th party, but at the 30th, the guys who are doing the show now, they're 18, some of them are 20, you know, they're early 20s. But you could see them looking at us, like at the old cast members, thinking, there is no way on earth that woman played Pearl or played Dinah or played. I mean, you know, like, I'm 52 now, and you know, I'm nearly old enough to be some of their grandmas, you know, and I just thought, oh my God, they're right. How did I do it? But that's the thought that was in there. You could see it written all over their faces, like, no, they can't have done it. They just cannot have done it.
It was awesome. It was incredible to interview Georgina.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah,
she's young, and you know, the opening of it, she mentions the fact that she wasn't even born.
I know. Well, I worked with her dad on Starlight in London, and she wasn't born when I was born. And it's like, oh gosh.
Yeah. But the one thing that all the Starlighters that come after us, they have to recognize, well, they don't have to do anything, but it's important for us to really realize. That's why I think a podcast like this, us coming together now and sharing, because all the future alumni are standing on the shoulders of those that came before them. The design of the set, the ability for people to do the tricks that they do were based on people who paid a price on what was possible and took it to a whole new level. So all this, and this is what I'm sensing. And so I know from the young, I know I got it from Georgina, this respect to those that came before them when they're in their right mind, not allowing the ego to get in, which is easy when you're young. Yeah. But that's amazing. And the alumni, these young ones, are enjoying this podcast as well as the fans, because they're hearing about what it was like. Right now, they are in. They're basing in the success of a show that others came through blood, sweat, tears, and broken bodies. Yeah. To get them starting to have the success that it has, and so that's like.
That's good to hear that they do, because that feeling I got of I felt really old at the party. Yeah. But I was like, we've done it. We've been there. We've done it. Had this exact same experience. So it's nice to know that the cast who are there now do accept our experience, and that's a wonderful thing. You know, if only you knew then what you know now.
Yeah, and especially now. I mean, that's why right now they have these devices. You know, they have the smartphones, and we're seeing all the videos of the current production. Yeah. And we didn't have that when we were coming up. No. And so a lot of the alumni and a lot of the fans, you know, I asked, okay, what did you like most about that particular interview? And just about all of them love the history, let's say, how it all began. What was it like? Because they don't have real visuals on it. And and so for us to come here, so that's why I ask people, you have any links, anything? And I'm finding being exposed to all this stuff that's never really been seen by many people. Yeah,
I think Sebastian had posted a video on Facebook the other day in Stax Insider, and I was like, how on earth has he done it? He's obviously done it via the monitor, because then we couldn't film anything. You couldn't. I mean, I remember at the 25th, people were getting their phones out and started videoing and taking pictures. And I was like, what on earth is going on? I was horrified. And somebody said, oh, no, they're allowed to. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, like this whole live recording thing. It was never allowed for us. I mean, even just, I had to go up into my loft to get some pictures for you. And I was struggling to find, I don't have a single photo of me on stage because we just couldn't take pictures like that. You know, I mean, again, something like the internet for the guys who are living there now, that's another thing. We didn't have that. Yeah. You know, we were lucky if we had I think it's called a handy, is it, in Germany still? You know, we call it a mobile, you call it a cell phone, don't you?
Yeah.
But we didn't have them. You know, do you remember getting the call, JC Collins or Peter Litiago, please can you contact 91? Because it meant you've got a phone call coming in from home or from somebody. You know, nowadays these guys are just on their phones. They've got access, but that's the same with everybody nowadays. Everybody has access to everything. And it's good in some ways and scary in another way.
Well, yeah, you have the knuckleheads out there and the people taking advantage of that. What I love about it is that first of all, they were smart doing that, which is what I do with my businesses. But Starlight is smart because all that is free marketing and free advertising.
Of course.
And
Very
to get the word out. And I know one of the things that I asked a question of one of the fans were really upset about where the direction of the show is going.
Okay.
And so they expressed themselves. And then my question to them, and you had mentioned it as well, was that how are the ticket sales?
Right.
That's what it's about. I mean, I'm grateful as an actor that when there's a job there. So when I see TV shows or movies, whether they're good, bad, or whether I like it or not, it doesn't matter to me. It's a job for performing artists that needs the work. And so the show is going, whether I like the production or not, it's for me, it doesn't matter. They're so loving it. They're buying the tickets and the story is continuing. And I love it. And it's great.
That's what I said to Meinhof. I just hope that it puts bums on seats for you for the next 30 years. It's not about my memories. It's about you making new memories. I'm glad, but I think they only do 6 shows a week now as well. They've cut down the amount of shows that they do.
Wow.
I think they have Monday and Tuesday. Don't swear me to that because I might.
Okay, that'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting thing. So again, it's the differences between what we did and what they do now. And I could understand that. I could get that because just to survive the show and keep it consistent and keep it going. Now, as we start wrapping up, one of the things I definitely want to make sure, I'm sure because you've been listening to the podcast, is just greatest lessons that you learn for you, what you can draw on that you continue to draw on in your life to this day.
Never give up, ever, and never say can't. I have my own dance studio now, and if my kids say to me in the studio, but I can't do this, and I just say there is no such word as can't in this studio. You can do it, you're just not able to do it properly yet. And I make them say it to me. I will never ever let a child say to me, I can't, or anybody actually for that matter, because that's the lesson I learned. I can achieve anything if I put my mind to it. And that was my greatest lesson that I take from Starlight.
Wow. Now you have a dance studio, so let's talk about what you're doing now. That's exciting. I love the fact that some of us are passing on the knowledge. Like I have a martial arts school with just over 300 students.
That's fantastic.
Anthony Galdi has a performing arts.
I saw his interview this morning.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. And what he's doing down in Atlanta, and of course Ray Shell has projects that he's giving back. So let's talk about what you're doing and how you are affecting young lives, the future performing artists.
Yeah, well, I started. I did Joseph in Germany actually for a year. I came back and in Essen. And then I had a bad back injury. I fell apart basically, and I had to have a disc replacement.
Wow.
an L5 disc replacement. So that really was the end of my career. It didn't matter if the doctor said you can't dance again. So I had physio for a long time afterwards, learning how to walk again. Unbelievable.
Wow.
The fact that you have to do that. But then I'd taken my teaching exams when I was younger. My mum was very smart. She made me take these teaching exams. And so I had them to fall back on if something like this happened. And it did. So 20 years ago, I started my own dance studio with 20 kids. And it got up to like 280 kids in there. And then at the same time, I was studying to become an examiner. Now, for you in the States, you don't have this system of grade. It's a little bit like piano exams or music exams. Do you have those in the States?
No, not really, no.
In the UK and in Europe, we have a graded system where you start, you're 4 years old and then you're 5 and then you move up to the next grade each time. So I trained to become an examiner to go out to different studios. And that took me 10 years. And then, I've been doing that for 9 years now, 9.5 years.
Wow.
So I go out to schools and colleges and examine them, which is bizarre. And I'm the, not the criticizer, I'm the person who gives them notes. But I also adjudicate big dance competitions as well now. And I always try to, no matter what, even when I'm adjudicating or examining, I give a positive. I'll give them a criticism, but there's always a positive. Then there's the criticism, and then there's another positive. It's the sandwich, we call it. And I'm now training teachers to become examiners, and I examine teachers who want to be examiners. So that's how I've given back to it. I don't know if I'm really giving back to society, really, but
well, you know what? There's so many life lessons, because the endeavor, a performing arts endeavor, is hard work, and especially these days, because you're going to go against, if you get higher and higher in that level, I'm sure you're experiencing it. There are people that are working hard to get better positioning.
Yeah, sure.
And they're going to work hard. And so there's that work ethic that has to be there. Then you have to have character, because your character, I'm a master instructor. Obviously, I'm a high rank. I've been doing it for 49 years. And
Right.
so I train right now, like my daughter, she's going to test for a master. She's going for a 4th degree master level. And so I'm looking at everyone. So we were talking the other day. So you could be talented. Your talent can be here. But if your character is here, you're gonna see the results of that in your life and you surround yourself. So if your talent is here, you got to get your character up there and even beyond that. Because if your talent is here, but your character is here, you will still be successful.
Exactly.
And so the work that we do, passing on the knowledge, especially when you say, because you mentioned about encouraging people, and you give the correction, the critique, but there's always positive. I teach our instructors that we do what we call PCP, praise, correct, praise. Praise them, and then give them a critique or correction to improve them, but then praise them again. And so I train our instructors to do that. Hey, I love what you're doing there, but here's how you can improve it here to make it even better. But I love what you're doing.
PCP, you call it?
PCP, praise, correct, praise, or praise, critique, praise.
I'm going to pinch that if you don't mind.
Oh, that's right.
It's better than a sandwich, that's for sure.
There you go. But it's the work that we're doing really is. So, thank you so much for doing that, because my daughter is benefiting from that. My son and all the young, and I teach as young as 3.5 years old. So I've seen how pouring into young people, it starts building their character. Because I've been teaching 20 years. And so I have now those 3.5-year-olds that are now coming back as young parents with their kids.
With their kids. Oh no, it's scary, huh? It's when they come back with their kids. I mean, I start mine, they can come through my door at 2 years old. And I've got one, she's next year she'll be going to university. And for the first month, she had to be on my hip the entire class. She didn't do anything. I used to give her back to her mum, and I used to say at the end of class, I used to say, yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, we're really getting somewhere. Thinking, I'm not getting anywhere. She's on my hip. I'm carrying her around with me for like half an hour. But now when I look at her and I just think, I've watched you grow into this beautiful young woman. I mean, sometimes I don't know how you feel, but I feel like a counselor sometimes. I feel like I spend as much time counseling as I do teaching. It can be a little bit like, whoa, because I didn't train to be a counselor.
Well, that's what I do. And right now, my job is facilitating the whole academy. I have my instructors teaching, and my job is to go to the parents, see how they're doing, and work with the kids. And so a lot of my research that I've done, because we have children coming in that have Asperger's, Tourette's, ADD, ADHD, a lot of challenges. And so how do we help them in their unique way? And so we have to then take on that role where we have to get resourced and educated so that we can really help these people. And that's what I really want to help them. But Jay, thank you so much for coming on. And people, first of all, what's your studio's name, and what's the website to your studio?
The studio is called Tutu's Dance Studio. Bit camp. And the website is www.Tutu's Dance Studio. So that's, but I'm just coming into I wasn't on Facebook, as probably most of you know, until Beverly Braben found me via the school Facebook page, because that's the only reason I went on it. Because that's how people communicate nowadays. I was a bit like, well, let's just say there was an influence in my life that said I shouldn't be on it. A person who influenced me saying I shouldn't be on it. But now I am. So I'm coming up in the world. I have an Instagram account. I've got a LinkedIn account as well.
Fabulous.
So, yeah.
Well, you know what? Everyone that's watching and listening especially if you're on the StarlightExpress.club page, I'll have the links all below so you can connect and see the work that JC is doing. And so anything that you're doing now, project-wise, like shows or any recitals, anything that you guys are doing that you'd like to let people know about?
There isn't at the moment. We've got our 21st anniversary show next October. God, it's like I'm not old enough to be that person. It's like when I go to somebody's 60th now, I'm like, no, I am not old enough. Thank you very much. But yeah, no, there's nothing really major, because unfortunately my work is more behind the scenes now as opposed to up front. I don't have time. People have tried to get me into like choreographing and directing for amateur dramatics. I just don't have the time. I have to, I have 3 jobs effectively. I examine, I adjudicate, and I teach. And trying to do those 3 is just a nightmare. So there aren't any upfront jazz hand moments that people can see of mine. It's all kind of like, which is kind of probably me now. It's behind a little shelter, behind a wall that I know is happening, kind of thing.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and I love what you shared. Now, you had a lot of very exciting things to say for someone who had nothing to say. So thank you so much.
I just hope I haven't bored people to tears.
And it was great. There was no tears, so we liked it.
No, I just had a little weeny moment. I was like, grit your teeth, girl. Grit your teeth. You can do it.
I love it. So thank you so much. And
thank you.
I know Renee had texted me, asked how everything was going, and I'll text her back and let her know everything went great. She's gonna love watching you, and she'll probably reach out to you and see if she can FaceTime with you. So
I'd love to. When you said she was going to crash the interview, I was like, yay!
She's done it a couple of times, but she's again, one of the things based on the work that we're doing now, like this, we're getting a lot of calls, a lot of choreographic calls, commercial calls. We got a couple of commercials that we have coming out. So all that is feeding itself, and that's the benefit of being, well, I always say that this is the youngest I'll ever be in my life.
Yeah, but don't you find like when you've worked really hard, it's like it takes it out of you for a few days?
Yeah.
You don't recover quite as quickly as you used to when you were 20.
Yeah, no, but it's all good. I love the work that we're doing now. And,
I'm so pleased for you. So pleased for you. And thank you so much for doing these podcasts. It really does bring you back to that feeling of being in the show and then listening to other people's experiences. So thank you so much, Peter, for doing that. There's a lot of people who want to say thank you, I'm sure.
My pleasure. Thank you for being a part of it, and it's an incredible project. A lot of things coming up. So last words, I want to give you the last words to the Starlight alumni and to the fans out there, the creative team that's part of Starlight. What would you like to say to them, the last thing?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me such, oh God, I'm going to go. Yeah, just thank you for the experience. Sorry. It was an amazing time, and it gave me, oh man, got my lenses in as well. To the people who are doing the show now, stick with it. Don't give in. Don't let anyone put you down or tell you you're not good enough, because you're doing it. But yeah, it really is just thank you to everybody, fans, Masker, the guys in skate department, the canteen guys who I just dished, but hey, but everybody who makes that lighting, sound, that doesn't happen because of a performer. That happens because of a team, and the Starlight team is just, it is just one big family. So thank you for letting me be part of that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, JC. Thank you so much. We love you.
Love you too, darling.
And you take care.
Thank you. You too. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye, darling.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this episode of Starlight Express Alumni Podcast. Next week, I will get together with another alumni. Be sure to subscribe. You can subscribe right here on the website at starlightexpress.club. We are definitely on the iTunes and Stitcher, and we're looking to get on the other platforms, so make sure you check there, subscribe there, and stay connected. If you are a Starlight alumni, please be sure to reach out to me if you would like to be on the podcast. Would love to hear your stories and share your story with the Starlight Express fans and other alumni. Look forward to sharing with you next week. Everyone, have a great day.